everybody, and welcome to another Hanging with Hobo. I am Hobo with Wood, and we're going to do a little different stream than what we've been seeing in Hobo with Wood hanging or the live. I'm not going to go through a complete design process in this live stream. Instead, I'm going to concentrate on techniques and some really huge time-saving tips. There was a question that was posed I started on this about a week ago, but life has thrown me a curveball or two, and I didn't get it ready when I wanted to. But there was the 16th, I think Madge posted a question about some engraving time when she was trying to do let me just show you. She's trying to do a wood grain engraving around a piece. And so she posted in here, she said, I got this, faux wood grain pattern around a project, and engraving in vertical pieces horizontally, it takes forever. I have the cut path optimized. Is there a way to help improve this and change directions or whatever? And she had 10 different comments with people making good suggestions and suggestions that I have even used in the past, where I would take and if for the top and bottom part of the frame, I'd break it up into two different pieces that would engrave on the X, and then I put two side pieces engraving on the Y and change the engraving, the scan angle, so that this would scan that way and then here and here, and that saves some time, but that's still not the best way. And there are a few other different comments that were made, and I had already designed a piece in this past week. It was inspired by Russ, and I don't think I've actually shared the design with you, but Russ is one of my patrons, and he had a request to design a piece this is kind of a funny story. He was thinking of doing something for Memorial Day, and he liked the image of Iwo Jima with the Marines, but he was thinking of what is America the Beautiful with the purple mountain majesties and the red, white, and the blue, and he was wanting to incorporate all of those things. So we did a design like that with his, per his request, in a live stream with the patrons only. We did about 4 or 5 different live streams this week. They were 3 hours, 5 hours, 3 hours, multiples that were 3 hours. Only one was 5 hours. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to do the entire design process, but I'm going to show you with him in the live stream and talking, we come up with this. He wanted the mountains in the background and the Iwo Jima. And this is 4 layers, a total of 4 layers. But I was looking at it and I said, well, I want to do some things different and continue to change it and improve it. But while I was working on it, I got a message. I've been getting trolled a lot this week. And speaking of, I want everybody to remember this is the Hobo Nation, and I want everybody to be respectful, just in case somebody pops up tonight. I did invite them. I don't know if they'll show up or not, but be respectful. Don't stoop. But I got trolled on this because, and I love to tell you guys and make comments on the fact that the majority of my Hobo Nation is a bunch of old farts, and lovingly old farts. Well, one of the old farts contacted me and they said, hi, there's a lot wrong with that design. And I said, yeah, like what? And he said, well, number one, that flag was erected on the highest point on Iwo Jima. They wasn't no mountain peaks behind it. They was on the highest one. They wasn't nothing behind them. And 2, they wasn't no trees like that on Iwo Jima. All them trees on Iwo Jima were palm trees or palm-like trees. There was one they called screw pine. It's a screw pine, but it's actually a palm tree. They call it screw pine because it's got a big old cone on it. It's like a big old pine cone, but it's a screw pine. I was like, oh, dear Lord. And I even laughed at him, told him, I said, well, it's a good thing. I understand. I said, and I explained how it come to be. And I said, it's a good thing you wasn't around when Picasso was painting because, his wasn't realistic either. But if you look in the mountains, you see all the lines in the mountains. I used an offset fill to do that, to create that, to give the illusion of the ruggedness and the rocks and all. And that turned out pretty good. But taking his comments, and had another suggestion from one of the patrons that said, hey, we'd like to see maybe some dog tags up here or something like that, something you could personalize. So I said, all right, I'm going to take those 2 comments and feedback and do something different. And I got that finished. And then I took Madge's request for how do you do this even better. And I did this piece to where you've got this one's the Marines, but you could make it with dog tags or whatever you like. And then I put this border all the way around it, like Madge was requesting. How do you do that? How do you do that and save a ton of time? So that's what I'm going to show you. And also, this is now, I think it was 6 layers, 6 pieces of material of the 12 by 12 material, 6 pieces, 6 layers. Wasn't 6 pieces. It's 6 layers made with only 3 pieces of the 300 by 300 material. So how did I get 6 layers this big out of the 300 by 300? Really neat trick, saves a lot of time and makes it easy to assemble. But before I jump into that, I've invited a few folks to come and join in on the stream. I've invited Clack. I invited Steve from Venturi, and also Venturi's Workshop. And also I did a shout out to Dimitri and see if Dimitri wanted to pop in here. And so far, we've had 1 folks show up, but I mentioned to Venturi and Venturi, if you're out there, you're welcome. Come jump in anytime. But right now, we got that Clack Jack.
What's up? I was just sitting here checking my inboxes.
Okay. So appreciate you coming and joining in. And
Yes,
whenever I'm showing this, and if you've got any feedback that you'd like to throw out or suggestions, they're welcome. Because the one thing that I do in my channel, and I don't know how much you've got to watch, is I love to say there's always another way.
Yeah, well, I do a lot more listening than I do watching these days, because I'm usually doing something on my own. I just happened to get through earlier when you sent me the message or whatever. I was still working on the video for that little Sane Smart CNC over there. So I just finished it up a few minutes ago and got it out there. So no, I'm just hanging out. I'll be here for the Q&A.
Well, like I said, though, there's always another way, and I'm not one who is a stickler of going, my way is the better way to do that. I enjoy learning from people in the stream and in the comments as much as I do trying to help and teach people. So don't be bashful about speaking up and say, hey, you know what? There's a better way. And I don't know if you know this or not. You might not. But I learned this from Stacy in the stream the other night. When you're using the Boolean tools and you're doing the Boolean subtract, and you click the A subtract B, and you get the opposite result that you wanted, instead of having to go back and undo and select and reselect, all you have to do is hit the undo button and click that same button again, and it gives you the opposite result. Just Control Z or hit undo and hit that same button again, and it just pops up the other option. And I was like, cool, that's cool. All right, so I'm going to jump over here. Well, actually, you know what? We got the numbers in here. I gotta love kitty cats.
She's passed out. Callie was up there with her. Biscuit was in here a minute ago, but rest of them's gone. But that one right there is passed out. Like she's done.
Yeah, and I didn't realize I said that out loud. That those 2 words get my dog excited. She loves to play with them, but they don't like to play with her. She'll play nice, but she ain't found one that'll wrestle with her. So hello to everybody in the Hobo Nation that's here. I'm not going to go through all and say hey to everybody. We've got 100 of you here, and that's what I look for before I start in my my how-tos and suggestions. So I'm just going to put let's see here. And I have a part, since my strokes reading sometimes can be challenging. I'd have to see that Boolean thing. It was hard to follow. All right. Well, we'll show you that at the end, because that's what I like to do too. Once I show you this presentation, we'll do a complete Q&A, tips, any questions you got. I'm here to do that. So I'm going to mark this spot. and we're going to jump over to Lightburn real fast. And like I said, we're not going to go through this whole design process, but I want to show you how I have this laid out and how I'm able to get 6 layers out of essentially 3 pieces of material here. So Lightburn. So full screen.
Let me get over here out the way.
No, I'm just gonna go full screen with it, and you ain't gonna see it. There you go.
There you
are. So what I did when I saved this file, if you go to Hobo with Wood and download this actual file, it's done a little different than I've ever done before. Let me put it in field. There we go. I have a toolpath over here that's a 300 by 300 toolpath, and you can see the anchors. It's locked in place. It's anchored down. And then I've got each one of these pieces over here, and all of these, whenever you download it, they're locked. I've been editing this so they're unlocked. But when you get these, they will be individually locked into place, lock shapes. And if you don't know how to lock and unlock shapes, you just select it and go up to your arrange tool and click on that one is locked. All right. And the rest of them might be. It may have been just that one. Yeah, that's locked. Yeah, those are locked. And anytime you see those points, the plus signs in the corners, they're locked. And I did that because there's a whole lot of pieces in here. And I was like, you know what? Let's not be moving and dragging those around. So when I'm ready to put this on the machine to engrave, I just grab, and you can do this with any design you've created. But I've got this, I've set it up, and I want to engrave that piece. I just Control-D, duplicate it, and send it over to the corner in Lightburn and position it where I want it to be in that material, and hit, cut and send it, and it's done. When I'm done with it, I can just select it, delete it, and grab the next one and do the same thing. Control-D, copy, bring that over here, put it in the bottom corner there, and then place it. But the way I was able to get all the layers out of this material, and I included the mountains here in that file, just in case you wanted to do Russ's concept. But if the other one, you leave it out and you do it with the dog tag. I created a dog tag option too, instead of just the Marines. I did not do another branch because it is the Marines who raised the flag on Iwo Jima. But these corner pieces right here, there's 8 of them. And I've got those in a waste area of the Iwo Jima Memorial. And I've got this little piece, these 3 pieces here, and then a piece up here, 4 random pieces. Now, those pieces, if I ungroup it so I can grab them, this is a spacer that will fit on the back of the flag here and glue up on the back of the flag so that it can, and I'll show you, it stands raised above the flag. And these pieces are the same thing. They're set up to where they can go in between the cut areas of the men and serve as support on the back of the flag. These corner pieces, to create the extra layers, that's all I needed. Instead of cutting out an entire frame for the design, I've just got 4 corners for each of the layers that I want to use as a spacer. So when you look at this, you can see that the flag is raised above the red, white, and blue flag. So, but because it's a very, very fragile piece, it's got the extra support glued onto the back of the flag, wherever it's at, right there. And that extra support keeps that from being fragile. And I did the same thing in random places behind the men. And the men are cut out so you can see the flag through there, and you get that extra dimension of them standing proud in front of the flag. And we just got Ventori jumped in here too, so we'll be able to add him in a minute. But this, the Marines piece over here, that is just on a couple of tabs that I'm able to slide in, if you can see there, between those layers, because where I put those corner pieces, I've got room, because if I grab one of these, I'm going to duplicate it and put it on a tool path, rotate it using my period key, or my, I did too far. There we go. My greater than key. And if that's going to sit right there, get popped in place. I'm on, my fingers are not working today. But once that locks in place, there we go. Then this piece up here This would actually, depending on what you wanted to engrave, if you wanted to do the Marines logo or if you wanted to do a dog tag, you would select it and bring it down here and engrave it while you're cutting this out to say, because that's all wasted material too. So if this is the piece you're going to use, when it's going to be assembled, wrong, fat finger, then this will snap to the top and to the left. And I've actually edited that. And the saved software, saved version, that fits. There's room in there. But that fits in there. And then whenever you put the frame is actually bigger than this piece here. So it covers all of that up and hides all those vacancies and spots below the extra layers. So when you're looking at it straight on, you don't see all that going on. You have to turn it on its side to see it. So by putting those corner pieces in each piece, there's actually a vacancy between the flag, because the red and white, the red, white, and blue, or the red and the blue is on one layer, and it's sitting flat on a white layer. So that's two pieces. And then did I have to use four pieces? No, I think still out. We'll look. But Madge's question is the biggie, because this technique of using those corners to create the extra dimensions, and you got places that you can tuck those corners, those whatever design you want to work with. It don't have to be this. If you want to make anything, you want it to be something to do with the Muppets or what's the purple dinosaur, Barney, you can do all kinds of different things and use that ability to tuck stuff in and keep it raised off the other layer. And what you would want to do too, though, is potentially put a support piece behind it if it's something fragile, so it can be glued to the furthest most layer and keep it good and strong. But here is something that Madge was struggling with, and I think everybody will benefit from, because no one suggested this in the Rolly Automation group. And when I started using this a long time ago, and when I first started using it, my influencer at that time asked me, says, "Why are you doing that? That's a horrible thing." I said, "No, it's not. It's a huge time saver." So let me pull this in over here. So if I copy that one, Control D, and put it in the bottom corner, and then if we look at the preview of that piece, let's see. Yep, I'm in field. Let's check. All right. So right now I've got this at 18,000 millimeters and 75% power. I'm not changing any of my speed or power settings. If we look at the preview, that's taken 46 minutes to do that engrave. And you see all of the traversal moves, all that wasted space or wasted time and power. And that's why I say when you see all that blood when you do a preview, that's wasted time, wasted movement, wasted energy. And that's what she was asking for. She said, how can I cut down that engrave time? All that excessive movement. And there were suggestions about changing the scan angles on the two side pieces to where you get the bottoms on X and the sides on, or the bottom and top on X and the sides on Y. And that does cut it down, but you got to take into consideration the amount of time you're going to spend in editing your design so that you can put them on separate layers so you have different scan angles. So here is how you take this from 46 minutes to 20 some minutes. Real simple. One button, one tick, no tricks. I've got that selected. I'm going to open up that cut layer that it's on, and I'm going to go to this advanced tab right here. Many of you have seen it and never noticed it, paid no attention. Some of you never even noticed it, paid attention at all. If you click on advanced and come over here and turn on flood fill, that's all you got to do. That's the one tick. Tick that on. Make that a flood fill. And now when we go over here and look at the preview, it's 27 minutes instead of 46 minutes. And the reason that it's different is you don't have all of that wasted energy and time traveling back and forth to scan. And if we look at the preview of how it engraves this, it does everything across that bottom on the X. Then it starts up that Y, does that complete Y, and then it starts. Well, it didn't finish it though. Goes there, and then it finishes there. Now, the reason that's so much faster, it's doing there. You had where they were talking about splitting it up to where you did 2 X's and 2 Y's. Well, here laser or Lightburn split it up the same way they were talking about doing it, but it continued to scan everything on the X. And with the gantry laser, it's going to move faster on the X because it's only got to move the head of the laser. It's not moving and traversing that entire gantry back and forth. So whenever you're trying to engrave it on the Y, it's a slower speed. So you've broken it up, but you've slowed your laser down. So that's my big tip. My big secret for this week is flood fill. When you're wanting to do perimeter engravings like that, it cuts down you just seen it. It cuts the engrave time down practically in half, depending on actually, it probably wouldn't even depend on what your design was, because if your design was more intricate, it would have taken you longer than 40 minutes. And you do flood fill, it's still going to cut that way down. So let's see here. We're going to add that, and Steve's walked away. We got there he is. We got another creature that's joined us in the stream. So and if you guys aren't familiar, I think you guys can see the chats. Those numbers they put in there, the 1s and 2s. That's what I ask people to do when they're in the stream with me, so that I know that they're engaged. And every time they learn something new, they'll put 1, a 2. I learned something new. It's 3 things I've learned. That just lets me know that they didn't actually fall asleep.
That's when you get some of the best naps.
No, that's for golf, not hobo with wood. So, what do you think about it? Have you ever used flood fill?
I do. Sometimes I like to try a couple different approaches. Flood fill it works a lot of times if you're not if it's not a job to where it matters about the lines, because sometimes it'll do some weird things with the way it feels. Like it'll come in at weird angles, and as long as it's not a design that's going to cause any anomalies, then I'll use it a lot of times. But I'll run 2 or 3 different scenarios to see, which one is going to save me the most time. Or, a lot of times you can just group things differently and get rid of the white space. So it's matter of fact, I went over to my buddy Tim's sports shop yesterday. The lady that she had 500, I think she said, plaques that she had to get done. And the design had a lot of white space in it. And so I made like 3 clicks and took the 40-minute burn down to 20 minutes. And she was like, what? So, I find that it's best to, try different approaches, because sometimes what you would think would take longer will actually be quicker depending on the design.
Yeah. So. And like I say all the time, there's always another way. Always. And grouping can make a big difference. Yeah. Now, one thing that depending on what I'm making and how really nice I want it to be, the way I avoid those, what you're talking about, those weird looking edges you get, is doing the line after fill. Just adding that one extra pass of a line around the perimeter cleans up a lot of that.
Yeah, it can. Like I said, there's a lot of different options, but that's one of the things. There was another. What was the other one what's the other one that's even more random than flood fill? What's that one called?
Offset fill. It
may be, yeah, but it can create some really random looks.
That and the offset
engrave.
And you incorporate offset fill and your LPI. That's how I got the mountains. Those lines in the mountains where it's all that radical engraving and spacing. That was offset fill with a really large LPI, and that creates a bunch of spaces, and you get some really weird patterns in it.
Yeah, it's like I said, I've gotten to where I just there's a lot of different tools, but it's a lot of the stuff that I do. It's just more or less automatic A lot of the designs that I use repetitively, I will go in and deliberately cut those things. Like I'll cut them down to where there is zero white space. Like even because flood fill, even on my stove cover design, even flood fill wouldn't get it down to where I've got it down to now. But it's because I do like 6 or 8 of those a week, so I have to have it to where it's quick. I want it to be very fast.
Very good. Well, Steve, I don't know if you've seen my comment or not. I watched your video today on the Cubico, and after watching your demonstration where you did look like maybe walnut pocket, you did a little bit, and all of that dust, and that's the kind of thing that I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to learn how to do the 3D engraving and all. And I was like, oh Lord, that's a mess. And I just couldn't imagine all that getting down in the machine. And you said, and I'd seen the dust shoe whenever I bought it, and I was like, I didn't know how you're gonna hook that up with the cover, so I didn't order it. But after seeing your video, I ordered 2 dust shoes, one for me and the one I'm gonna give away.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, really, any CNC router should have a dust shoe. This one, they didn't have it in the models they sent to us, but apparently they have a little clip that is going to disengage engage the limit switch.
Yeah.
And that'll open it up. But then you also have to take the cover off, the spindle, things like that. So it's a little bit, but yeah, it definitely, if you're doing any sort of pocketing or even deep carving, you're going to want that. Now, when you're switching over to things like PCB and metal engraving, the smaller chips, hopefully not as deep, you're probably going to want to keep that enclosed because that's stuff you really don't want to have flying around. We'll see how those dust shoes work. Some of them are better than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun little machine, but they've got a lot of accessories for it that we didn't get a chance to look at.
I did.
So
I didn't get to look at them, but I ordered them, I should say.
Yeah. So we'll see when people start getting their production units here. I think they're shipping in July now.
Yeah, that's their target.
Yeah.
And guys that are here in the stream, yes, this is still Hobo with Wood, and we're talking lasers, but these two have had the opportunity to actually play with and use the Cubico and review it. And whenever they announced it and did the Kickstarter, and they had it at a really, really reduced price, I ordered 2 of them. I bought 2, one for me and one for you guys. One lucky person in the stream from Hobo with Wood is going to get one of those. I'm going to give one of them away. And I seen in the comments, oh, that's nice. In fact, I'm going to make you full screen. Let's see. There you are. I seen in y'all's comments in your videos, do y'all still intend to give y'all's away?
Both mine are already gone. They've already been received. Well, I know one of them's been received. I'm pretty sure the other one has.
Well, I'm gonna give mine away, and I think Steve said it best. That is a great tool to learn with.
Oh, I guess the other one has been received because there's John right there. So I guess the other one, because I think what was the guy? Scott. So yeah, I don't want to get his last name. I don't remember if he shares his last name or not. But yeah, I know Scott got his, and I guess John got his because he just said thanks. I think that was the same name. So yeah, it's a fun little machine. Like I said, as far as portability, it literally, like, you can pick it up and carry it anywhere. It is going to be limited as far as like doing metals and hard materials and stuff like that. Could you do it? Yeah, but it's going to be, you're going to go really slow, and it's not going to be what I would consider very.
No, it's not a production piece.
It's not made for that.
I think it's the perfect, and I forget exactly what the words Steve used, but it's the perfect machine for learning, for
fundamentals
experience. You know, and what I love about it, and this is because I've mentioned to my viewers, I've got a big CNC in the other room, but when you screw that up, you don't screw up an inexpensive piece of material. You messing up a big old chunk of money. So I'd rather learn and get really proficient with a little 4x6 piece of material, and then I can go blow that up. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. So, if let's see here, see what kind of questions we got from the people in the stream. It says, I'm using your 3M tape and spraying black, but I am getting some bleed through on the edges. Any tips from your peanut gallery? Well, I don't use that 3M tape for painting. If you're talking about the 3M tape that I recommend, that's what I use for engraving my glass and my crystal. I don't use that for painting. When I go to do painting, I use painter's tape, because that 3M tape that I've got that I suggest for that masking tape or that crepe paper tape, that's not painter's tape. It's actually used in the automotive industry for taping paper to, covering up pieces you're putting in a spray booth. It's not for actually sealing against paint. What was you about to say?
If they're getting bleed through from the paint after engraving, whether it's a CNC or a laser, a little dab of clear coat it first, and the clear coat will prevent the colored paint from wicking up into the material.
Yeah.
It takes a little longer because now you got to wait on that to dry, but that's really the only surefire way is to, when you engrave it, leave the masking on there and go ahead and hit it with some clear coat, and then let that dry, and then put the paint on top of that. That way, it basically keeps the paint in the engrave.
Yeah, and I did the same thing here. After I cut this out, the very first piece I did not clear coat it before painting, and when I taped everything off and painted the union, and when I pulled the tape off, that blue paint bled and went all the way through because it didn't seal it first.
Yeah, especially down the grain, like it'll catch those end grains and it sucks it up like a straw.
Yep, just like a sponge. So yeah, and that's what I did after seeing it. I was like, I knew better than that. So I clear coated my next one, and then and no more issues.
Somebody's wanting to see the fish again.
Oh yeah, I wanted to see the fish again. Now, is that did you do that with the what?
I actually did this one with the 30-20 over here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You can do it. I've got one that I did with the Cubico. I don't know what I did with it. It's probably, hang on, it's going to be in my giveaway box.
Yeah. All right.
Now I'm trying to think where I did a couple 3D carves too. Trying to remember where I stashed that stuff.
Oh yeah, and Craig Lawson, use your scraper. And I think it's use your scraper to really apply some pressure. But the biggest trick is seal it before painting it. That almost for sure stop it.
All right, somebody must have already taken it. I've got a box over there that, like, when people visit or kids come by, they get to pick stuff out.
It's like the box we get when you went to the dentist.
Yeah, these are little trays that I made with the Cubicos. Some of them are made out of pine. This is just a little piece of pine. This is a little piece of pine scraps. All that is. Yeah. And I made like a little screw bend. So if you're working on something, or like I've got one that I keep right here on my desk that just catches random things.
Yeah.
So these are handy, and you'll learn as you're learning CNCs. You'll make so many of these that you'll have them sitting everywhere.
Yeah, well, I've got something like that sitting at my front door. That's where keys go when I come in. Everything goes in that tray when I come in.
But I got a little small. I don't remember what it was. It's in one of my videos, but I don't know where it went. It was over here somewhere. Not sure where it went. Yeah, this one I did this one with the 30-20 that I got over there that I've been testing, but this would take a long time with the Cubico because it's as big as it is and as deep as I went, because this is like 3/4 of an inch thick. So it would have taken a long time, but with the 30-20, I crunk it up and run it kind of fast. But yeah, and you got like these little trays like this one. This one I made with 30-20.
That's cool.
So, and that's a laser on top of the CNC, because the CNC doesn't turn it brown.
No, right.
So I CNC'd it, and then I put it in a laser and did I think I did that in the A70.
Okay. Well, guess what I got coming with my Cubico?
What you got?
I got the optional laser module that goes with the Cubico.
Cool. Yeah, so, I didn't try that one. I had plenty of lasers.
So I've got the Cubico that I'll be giving away, and I also went with the larger spindle. Did y'all have the larger spindle or the faster, heavier spindle?
No.
I think did it not? Was it the 300? Was it the 300? I think is what was on them.
Yeah.
Now,
So
typically, they're not going to give us the cream of the crop.
okay. Well, the one I'm gonna give away is going to have the bigger, the faster spindle, and I have a laser module with it too, so it'll be a CNC and a laser. I don't know how much work there'll be involved in switching out between CNC and then the laser. But if you don't have a laser, this would be a great tool. You learn both.
I was fixing to say, if you didn't have a laser, it might be, something you want to look at. But if you already have one, I guess a benefit would be you could do it in the same machine and it only takes up that little bit of room. But yeah, there would probably be some setup involved, I would imagine. This is another one I did a long time ago. I need to finish this one. This one's just straight off the machine, and I set it up here, started throwing crap in it. But that one's got I was gonna pour it with epoxy, but I just haven't done it yet. I don't remember what machine I made this one with. There's no telling. Me and Steve play with CNCs a lot.
So this is where I don't know if I can get this focus on here, but this is where it really will shine. This is a little PCB board, so that's got just a super thin layer of copper.
Yep.
And so then it creates the circuit paths and whatnot. And so that's where I feel people that want to make these, they're generally not too big for the prototyping of the small one.
Right.
And this machine will do just fine for that because you can't go that fast doing that, doing that fine detail. So
and Chicago Bob is commenting where your fish probably went. Fluffy stole it.
Yeah, I have like I said, I got stuff sitting everywhere. You can only keep so much of it, because it gets overrunning.
What two lasers are behind you there?
Oh, no, there's way more than two.
Well, those like two fibers.
This is a OhmTech 60-watt MOPA. That is the CommMarker 5-watt UV, and then right over there, that is a Monport 30-watt MOPA. Over there, that's the X-Tool F1 Ultra. That is the ASMR P3. It's got a 48-watt head on it right now, but I also have
Steve, you want to say it, or should I say it, Steve?
And that is the OhmTech Polar Plus. There's a Mega back under there behind that I plan on never getting out unless I need parts off of it. X-Tool S1 is right there.
Clap gets all the cool toys.
And then there's quite a few of them back this way also. You can't see it on that. But no, I've got quite a few of them set up in here.
So I'm hoping that Madge made it here to this stream, because that whole frame and using the flood field that was inspired by her request for help in the the Facebook group, Rolly Automation Facebook group, and I got trolled a little bit tonight. And I'm like, come on, fellas, but I'm like, because this was specifically on, to address her question. And I was like, okay. But I think Dimitri put an end to it. I sent him an invite to see if he might join in a little bit. I told him I'd spend probably 30, 40 minutes talking about the tips. But because it is such a quick tip that it's one tick of a button, you just turn on the flood fill and cut the engrave down to big time. But he's just like, yeah, you shouldn't be posting your YouTube channel in this group. And I'm like, but I'm showing you how to increase, and I'm answering specific questions that were asked in this group. He didn't like it. Clack, another question. Do you still have your old D1 hanging on the wall like a plaque?
Yeah, it's right around that corner. You can barely see the edge of it above that sign right there. See that piece of extrusion right there? That's the X-Tool D1, the corner of it.
Well,
yeah, it's hanging up there. That one, that's the machine that was my very first laser.
Mine too, and we had two different experiences. So and God bless you for everything you did and showed with that, because if it wasn't for what you did show with that D1, I would have threw the towel in. I had problems after problems after problems, but you taught me a ton about how to overcome a lot of it.
Yeah, I got that machine. I got it, and that 10 watt. It wasn't but 2 or 3 months. I had made the money back for the 10 watt, and bought air assist. I started doing stuff to it, and then I had to get another one, so I wound up buying the 20 watt. And those two machines, man, I was I was doing now. It was a slow go. I look back at it, and I'm like, I can't believe I spent like 4 days out here cutting out little boxes, because it's so slow. But
Yep.
I did it, and it worked, and persistence paid off, I guess. So now I've got plenty of machines that I can do jobs much, much faster than what I used to.
Now, when did you start lasering?
I bought my first one. Hang on, let me look at the date. 11/15 of 2021 is when I bought that one from Amazon.
11/21.
Yeah.
So, all right. This Father's Day, I'll be celebrating 3 years.
Yeah.
And so you a little over 4. How about you, Steve?
I got my first CO2 laser a little over 9 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So you're the grandfather here.
Yeah, I ran that one for a long time. I was basically eBay special. I started out looking at the little K40s like everybody did back then. Then doing some research on it, found out how much you had to upgrade them to make them useful. So I kind of, okay, well, if I'm spending that much money, let's get the next higher model. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, if I'm really doing this for model airplane stuff, size matters because we work with large sheets of balsa. So kind of it came down to how much I could spend and to get the largest size. So it was a 60. Well, technically it was sold as a 60 watt, but it had a 50 watt tube in it. And it was a 27-inch wide bed by about 18 deep. And ran that one for quite a few years. And actually had a couple, I think it was Afiro before they were on tour. They had sent me a couple emails because I had randomly put out some videos about the laser and using it. And they were like, hey, do you want to check out these little 2.5, 5 watt diodes? And I was like, what am I going to do with that compared to the 60 watt? But then a friend of mine who actually got me into CNC routers like 10, 12 years ago, he was looking at the X-Tool 10 watt and he's like, what do you think of this? I'm like, well, it's cute. And he kind of wanted to split it with me at first, but I was like, I really don't know what I would do with that over it. But I tell you what, I've had a few companies reach out to me. And so I reached out to X-Tool and we made a deal. And I had pretty good experience with it. But I also quickly went from using their LaserBox software to Lightburn and I think being used to doing some of the weird tricks with my CO2 didn't hit quite as many stumbling blocks with that, jumping into it. But that really kind of kicked off me doing more on YouTube with this and kind of tapering off my RC airplane hobby for, I was actually a Midwest editor for Fly RC as a side gig, which is a national magazine for Model 8 airplanes. And so I was going to trade shows, I was going to events. I was actually working my side gig as I was making CNC cut kits, laser cut kits, and all this other stuff. I kind of killed the hobby for me because I was always working it. So it was nice to take a step back from that and just hang out in the shop and do some fun things and share it instead. So that's kind of where I got to. And then I started putting some videos out about the D1, and Clack saw some of them, and I was watching some of his stuff, and I think I hopped on in one of his first lives and was helping answer some questions and chat. And then he's like, hey, well, let's just do this together. So that's kind of the origin story there.
Yeah, it's easier. Lives are easier. And this is what people don't understand. Lives are easier when it's 2 people. If it's 1 person, lives can be a bit challenging because you're going to have those run aground moments to where your brain's just like, and so it works best if you have 2 people.
The squirrels in my brain don't give me a chance to do that. I don't hit a roadblock or stone block. I just get detoured.
Yeah, but we've been, like I said, we've been doing it now for 100 and something episode. I mean, it's been over 2 years now, and we're similar, but man, some of our ways of thinking are totally opposite. And that's what my wife was talking to me tonight. She's like, it's amazing that you and Steve get along as well as y'all do without just fighting all the time. She said, because y'all are like totally opposites on a lot of this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but to me, that makes it a thorough discussion because we're looking at both angles.
Yeah, because if you both have the same approach on doing everything, then why do you both need to be there? So and it's funny what you said about the hobby, the work ruining the hobby for you. One of my former employers taught me that a long time ago. I used to live on a boat. I lived on a boat for 10 years, and I absolutely loved it. And while I was down in Cancun, I seen a guy out there doing excursions on my boat. It wasn't not mine, but just like mine. I was like, man, that's cool. That's cool. He's getting paid to take people out on his boat, and I come back, and just so happens this guy was from Mexico City. And I said, yes, man, I think I want to move to Cancun. I take my boat. He's like, yeah, no, two things. One, if you start working where you want to play, then you're not going to enjoy either one of them anymore. And two, if you go to Mexico, they're going to take your boat and kick you out. So yeah, don't work where you hobby or where you want to relax, because then you don't enjoy either one anymore.
Well, see, I've been fortunate because I spend a lot of time out here, and now I'm fixing to be retired, and this is gonna be all I do. But I work my tail off. Like I'll get behind on jobs, and then of course you got jobs backed up, and then it just never fails. It's like these companies wait until they know I'm busy, and then they send you a bunch of stuff or they ask you to do stuff, and so it's a lot of work, but I still enjoy it, even though I guess it's the challenge of trying to get the jobs out, get the jobs done. Like I'll have somebody, hey, can you do this and have it done by this date? And I'm like, yeah, if you get them to me, as long as you don't drag your feet, get them to me, I can. And so I enjoy it, and it's been very like helpful for me to be able to get to where I can get that retirement check coming in and just stay here and hopefully have fun doing what I enjoy and being able to live off of it. Because if not, then I'm gonna have to go get me a job driving a bread truck or something.
Jeff there made a comment that says your friendship, is a large part of why it's lasted this long, and your respect for each other's way of thinking. And Ed, this goes double for me. Clack is the one that showed me how to send that laser to the finished position, and that was absolutely necessary for me for repeatability on a laser without limit switches.
Oh yeah.
Then I could send that out to that finished position, and I could send it right back out and do whatever. But even today with my Rolly Lasermatic XW, you see where it's parked right now? That's my finished position. I set up finished position on all the machines, and I learned that from that fella in the orange shirt there.
Well, and I was so used to my CO2 lasers would home in the back left, and it would naturally want to get out of the way. And that's half of it. The finished position for maintaining your steps and your absolute coordinates is great. But getting the head and the gantry out of the way so I can get my material out too is half the reason as well. So, but
yeah, because it's hard to get that material out of the enclosure when the head and the gantry sit
right in the way. Yep.
Clack talked a big game about working all the time, but he's also dusting off that fishing boat. So.
When I do get where I'm retired, because see, that's the one thing, doing the work that I've done over the years didn't pay all that great. So I've had to live paycheck to paycheck pretty much my entire life. But
wait a minute,
it's a good retirement.
I'm gonna argue with you there, brother. I don't know what you make, but I know you work for the government, and the government pays everybody tons and tons of money. I think the biggest reason you're probably broke is I've seen some of the photos you post. You live in a house full of women.
No, it's not so much. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm broke. I'm blessed. Good Lord's taking care of me.
I didn't mean. But
if I were to miss about 4 or 5 paychecks, things would have started looking bad around here for years.
Yeah, and I didn't mean broke, but the reason you might not be rolling, you ain't. What was it, Scrooge McDuck? You ain't got all. You got a house full of women. That cost us a lot of money.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm hoping that it continues the way it's going, and like I said, I can pay for my insurance and my few other incidentals that I'm going to need for the business, and I do plan on getting some extra fishing and hunting time in if I can.
And is that the next channel?
Oh, I've already got the other channel started. It's not very big, but I've already got my family channel already kicked up.
I'm talking about the fishing channel.
Well, all that's going to be on the other channel.
Okay.
I'll have my shop channel here, and then I'll have everything else is over on my Claycleese channel. So that's where all of that'll be. And shameless plug, I can drop a link because it does need some subscribers, but I haven't been doing a whole lot with it. I just got the framework set up, and I've started playing around with it. The more I get closer to retirement, the more I plan on doing with it. It's just right now, it's all I can do to keep the one I got going because it's a job. You guys know, fielding the comments, the questions, the emails, it can be a job, but I love it.
And I just seen, and I don't know if you guys seen that a minute ago, but Dave said thanks. The three of us taught him a lot, and he says thank you. And then that Terry says thank you for your service, Clack.
Oh, thanks, sir.
And then Stacy, and seeing Stacy's comment here reminds me I need to show that feature on the Boolean tools. But Stacy says hooking with Clack. Now
it's if you go to my channel, I've got a link to it. It's just going to be the Claycleese. That's me and my wife. It's going to be everything not shop related. Is going to be there, and
hooking with Clack could be taken a couple different ways. So that's probably not a good option.
So we're going, like I said, but that's something that's something I'm going to keep pushing towards as I retire.
So I'm going to switch the screen back over to, let's see here, present, share screen, because there's someone said they didn't quite follow what I was saying because I was muddy. I don't always explain verbally, and I personally learn. I'm a visual learner. So if I make that full screen, this was what Miss Stacy taught me. I'm going to say new. I'm going to get rid of this. And if you've got I'm just going to put two random shapes up here, and you wanted to use the Boolean tools to get a certain outcome. Let's put them on a black layer and put them in fill. And if you wanted to see, and this is actually, if you don't know what you want to see, if you just select one and then hold shift, select the other, and then just hit the subtract tool over here. If that's not the result you want, just undo and hit that exact same button one more time, and it gives you the exact opposite result. So and that is one of the coolest tips, because my brain don't always think of that correctly. But the way it's supposed to work is if you've got two shapes that you're dealing with, or if it's two shapes or two groups of shapes, the first thing you pick for this over here is A. So that's A, hold shift and select B. That's B. A, subtract B. So that should give you the result of the circle missing that corner. And there it is. But if you really wanted the inverse of that, you just undo and click it again, and you get the other opposite effect. So hope that answers your question. You still got any questions about that tip? And let's see here. I did that backward. I didn't need to do that. I need to go back here. I'm driving too many wheels. Let's remove that and put everybody back on stage. There we go. You'd ask about that. Hopefully that answers your question. Anybody else got any questions when you got the three brain? Okay. A lot, no more questions. A lot clear seeing it happen. Yeah, I'm a visual learner. I don't do great with retaining it by reading it. I got to get in there and break it and figure it out. Any questions? Light burn related, laser related?
So I'm just wondering if you meant to say ope or nope, because ope is a Midwest thing.
Oh yeah, what is the?
So you'll say like, oh, didn't mean to do that.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
It's very much like a Minnesota, Wisconsin, a little bit. It's
Not-
focused in that area.
Yeah, not oops, not oops. Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it can mean a few different things, but yeah, it's kind of like a or oops or.
And she clarified it for you. And I
Yeah.
didn't mean that. I didn't want to play pronoun games there. I just don't know man or woman there. Nope. So this what I've started doing because I've been going through a whole lot, and haven't been doing a lot of the videos I was normally doing. And my patrons have been really good about continuing to support me in my vacancy of videos. So I've actually started doing live streams where I'll go into I'll actually set up an actual live stream like this, but it'll be unlisted and share the link only with my patrons. And the patrons can join in. And I also share a link so they can actually join in the studio and talk with me like this about design problems and questions. Like I said, I did one Monday was 5 hours, followed by Tuesday at 3 hours. Yeah. And just, but the fact that I was able to bring them into the studio like you guys are now, it wasn't just 5 hours of me talking at them, it was me talking with them. And it was really, really productive. We had a lot of positive feedback. And so I've been doing a whole lot more of that. I've done about 6 different, and most of them been averaging about 3 hours with patrons, teaching them different things and answering different questions.
That's good stuff.
How do you get out of a design slump? Oh, wow. Get your motivation back to do projects. How about it, each of you? How do y'all get out of your slump? Do you ever get in a slump?
Steve, I'll let you take this one first.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody gets into a little bit of a slump every now and then. And some of it you got to figure out what the slump is. Sometimes it's not so much design, but it might just be, if your workshop is not set up and conducive to be creative, like if you always have to move things around or clear things off, just cleaning house. I've been doing a bit of that this spring. I've been, getting rid of some machines, it doesn't look like it, but I've been paring down some of the material behind me. Actually getting it, and even some of that is just getting it processed. So when inspiration hits, I've got material ready and I don't have to, prepare it. So some of it's just like getting your environment conducive to being creative. Because there's nothing worse than having an idea and then going out there going, oh, I left this place a mess and I don't want to spend, however much time cleaning it up. So that's one thing. But another is sometimes it's just like when we go on vacation, I try to make sure my wife and I like visiting some of the small mom and pop shops around a town, and then inevitably they're going to have some local, created things. And so I try to look at those and not copy them, but get inspired of like, okay, what would be similar in my area that would be fun to make? And that some of them have been like, we were up on the North Shore of Lake Superior. And so they had Lake Superior and the cutout, and then they had the plexi. And so in some cases they were putting like agates in them, or in other cases they're making it into a bank. I'm like, okay, that's a cool idea. What could I do something locally here? But you can do the same thing at like makerspace shows or craft fairs and things like that. Again, I don't necessarily want to like steal someone's idea, but just seeing what other people are doing can sometimes spark kind of that creativeness in your thing. To the point of even, joining, if you have a local makerspace, maybe take a class on metalworking or something outside your normal venue, and that process can help spark ideas as well. Sometimes it's just something to disrupt whatever is the monotonous loop you're in, or the what's kind of dragging you down. That's my take on it.
Well, and before Clack answers, just a couple of funny. Radu says utility bills and groceries are a major motivation. And then Chris, I don't get a slump. I have a daughter. Dad, can you?
Yep. Yeah. The honeydews and the friends and families asking if you can do stuff. It's a double-edged sword, but yeah.
Yeah, I personally, whenever I have just hit a roadblock, I will throw it out to my patrons and say, "Hey guys, that's like this. This was not my concept initially. This was inspired from doing this for a patron. When I don't have an idea, I'm like, hey guys, what do you want? What do you want to see? So I ask you guys, I ask the folks in the streams, hey Tim, what do you want? What do you want to see?
Yeah, well, a lot of my stuff is driven by jobs. So
Yeah.
like because I'll have people message me and be like, hey, can you make this? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can. Well, how much would you charge? And then of course I'll sit there and try to figure it up. And I'm like, well, is this a secret or can I make a video with it? And they're like, oh, you can do what you want to with it. I just, it's something I want. And I'm like, okay, $35. And they're like, oh, okay, that's cheap. Thanks. When can I pick it up? I'm like, well, give me about a week, And so as long as I can use it as a video to show people, give people project ideas or whatever, then, I'll do it a little bit cheaper because it gives me content. Like it helps keep new stuff coming into the channel. So it's not just me sitting around showing people how to connect a machine to Lightburn or reviewing machines or whatever. So it's a little bit different, but that's where a lot of my projects actually are jobs, like paying jobs.
Real world inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of times where it's like I'm doing the same old thing I've done 1,000 times and I don't want to do a video on it again. But then occasionally somebody will come up with something that I haven't done a video on. And I'm like, you know what? That would make a decent little video. Like I've been playing around this week. I bought this stuff like 2 weeks ago to play with the lasers. Or I bought this like 2 years ago, play around with the lasers. And the lasers just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And so since I've had this little 3020 CNC over here, I've been playing with this stuff. Man, I fell in love with this.
Okay.
Awesome. So I can, I can make all these little cool little signs or whatever for like kids' doors. Like, I've got so many ideas of how I'm going to be able to sell these things here locally, especially for like kids and stuff like that.
And I love that because that was not even on my radar with the CNC, but that is a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like it does a good job. Now speeds and feeds took a minute to get the perfect speeds and feeds, so I don't have lines and all that. But yeah, this one, Steve inspired this one. Because I don't know if you know it, but Steve is actually a Bigfoot. He just shaves his face.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
And then this one's going on the door of my shop here, because like I had a guy the other day. He had called every laser engraving place from Birmingham to Montgomery trying to get them to engrave this cooler that he bought. And it was a one-of-a-kind cooler. Like he wanted to give it to a friend of his that was retiring from the Navy. He was retired from the Navy as well. And he had designed the artwork and all this, but he couldn't find anybody that could do it because they were all wanting to stick it into a CO2 laser and do it instead of, we did it on this table right here. Now we did some engineering, right. But I took the head off of one of my galvos and spun it around to the back and then set the fiber laser up on spacers. Now it was rednecked, but we got it on there and got it done. And man, he was so happy. And he's like, man, what could I do? What could I do? And it never dawned on me that I didn't have one of these to where people could review me on Google. So right. I'm like, well, go to Google and leave a review, Yeah. And so I'm going to put this on the wall to make it easier for people to do that. And I'm also going to market these to the businesses in town so that, hey, I can make this and you can have this on your counter and that will help you because you're advertising and marketing online. And so this is going to be another business to business type project.
I'll give you another one that you can go do business to business. You got UPS store in your town. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that big, but yeah, we got one.
Well, if it's like mine, that you go in and they're like, if you need to print something out or fax something over or print out an email, or whatever, they say, okay, well, if you need to print, you say, well, they'll tell you what, email it to this address, and they got a sign on there, and you got to sit down and type up that email and all that, and then send it to them. I made a little QR code, and what you just did, you scan the QR code, and it creates the email to send it instead of type it all up. Make you some of them and sell them to your UPS store. Wayne asked, when do you start stocking up for your Christmas? Do y'all do a lot of Christmas stuff? Y'all prepare for shows and stuff like that? I don't have time.
Yeah, I don't do that. My shows are usually in the summer, and I just do little tiny small stuff that they can stick in a pocket. I have a few other things, but Christmas, all of my stuff will be custom. The custom stuff is where the money's at, and I've gotten my reputation out there to where about October, people will start calling me, going, "Hey, can you have this? Can you make this? Can you?" It'll start about October, and I'll have them wanting stuff done up until about December 23rd. They'll be like, "Hey, I bought this." Like last year, it was leather guitar straps was a big one last year. I don't know why, but apparently somebody in the guitar community like turned them on to the fact that I could engrave leather guitar straps, guitar straps, you name it, like musical instruments, like boxes. It gets crazy. So I try not to get too much lined up for November and December if I can help it.
Do you do any just random stuff, Steve, for lots of Christmas ornaments or anything like that?
I don't do a lot of the kind of the public shows. So my stuff would be more of like business to business, or like Clack said, more customized. I'll do some things, but I'm always cautious to get too stocked up on certain things, because I've been there before where you know, it can be year to year. One year it's great, the next year no one buys it.
Or it's extremely popular right now, but 6 months from now nobody wants it.
Yeah,
right.
Never put this pro tip. Never put Christmas 2023, Christmas 2024.
Oh yeah, no,
never do that. Never. Just put Christmas.
Yeah,
yep.
Just put Christmas, because you can't sell Christmas 2024 stuff.
Throw it away.
First year I learned that one because I was heavy into ornaments and stuff. But you got to keep in mind too, when I say this, it's not that that's not a thing. I started out that way. Like I started out going to every little craft fair I could find, going to every event I could find. I was all over the place. But as the name got out there, as I started getting more work coming into the shop, I didn't have it. It's to the point now to where unless it's a big event, like we've got our Peach Jam coming up in June, which is like the biggest event in our county, I will go do it. But like these little small events, I'm better off staying in my shop and turn out jobs and make money than I am to go to those events. I actually lose money at some of these small events because a lot of your small events, you know, if you do $250, $300 in sales at some of these events, you know, you should feel privileged.
Yeah,
by the time you pack everything up and go, you're better off just to do some jobs in the shop.
Yeah, your prep time to get ready, plus going, setting up, tearing up. You're lucky if you break even. For me, to me, that's why I say I don't do them. I don't have time to do them.
Now at that Peach Jam thing, like Klein goes with me every year, and he's like my order taker. You know, pulling the blanks out of the boxes and getting everything ready and writing me a note, and I'll just be sitting out there batching out stuff and doing jobs. We do pretty good because I'll pay him to go help me, and I'll still do pretty good, make it worth my while. But I do that for a lot of the reason I do it though is more for the PR than it is the sales, because I'll be handing out cards and I'll be doing jobs for the next 3 or 4 months for people that saw me at that event because they're like, oh, I don't want one of these, but I do have a retirement coming up or a wedding or a graduation or whatever that I want something for, and I'll be reaching out to you. So I'm going to take this business card. But I've gotten to where I do a lot of QR codes too, and just tell them to follow the channel or follow me on Facebook. That way they can just message me directly from Facebook.
So Wayne Stacy says she starts doing it now to get ready for Christmas. And I used to, when I actually had a real life, I had a commercial building that I leased out to an education store. And at it was either the end of June or the 1st of July is when they would go to Atlanta and order everything they needed for Christmas. So if you're in doing sales and retail and you want to prepare and be ready for Christmas, yeah, you want to start in June, July to be ready. But like Clack said, don't date it. And if you want to get ahead of the game, maybe you cut out a bunch of different ornaments that you can personalize, but then have a template that you can set that down and engrave them on the spot and say, oh, now you got to do is just do personalization.
Yeah, that's a lot of what I do. if I go to a Christmas event or an event close to Christmas, I'll have the ornaments already made, have them already done up. I'll have a couple of like mock-ups done, and I got a little Christmas tree stand that sits on my table, and I'll have them hanging on there. And when people's like, oh, I'd like to have one of these, can you put my name on it? Then I'll go in the box, grab one of the blanks, throw it in the F1 Ultra, because that's what I use at events. And literally 10 seconds, the name is on it. So if I do Christmas ornaments, like you said, I either do generic ones that they buy as is, or I'll do them and just have them blank, ready to go.
Ready to go.
But I haven't done as many. Like I said, the past couple of years, I've kind of leaned away from that a little bit because I stay too busy doing other stuff.
Moses, how do you make a slot for a plaque or a sign to hang it? And Moses, it depends on what you're referring to as a slot. If you an actual physical slot like I do for the plaques that I'm selling, I actually have a keyhole router bit that I will router a keyhole in the back of it so you can hang it, and I'll do a horizontal and a vertical so you can do landscape or portrait. But there's all, if you don't have a router and you don't want to go doing all that, there's all kinds of ways you can create your own alligator hanger, where you can cut a bunch of V's in a piece and put a piece behind it, and then glue the alligator clip on top of it. Or there's a bunch of ways that you can make hangers go on the back of your plaque. But if you actually want a physical slot, I don't know if this one's got one. No, this one doesn't have the keyholes on it. But if you actually want a slot in there, you could probably do a pocket with your engraver, but that'd take longer than just doing it with the router. Oh,
I'm trying to remember. I think I did a video specifically on that.
Yeah, you did, and I can't remember what it was called.
How did you design it?
Well, I did a few different ones. So I had like the keyhole slot, I had the alligator 2 slot, and I think there were 3 different ones that I put out there of like basically how to make custom hangers or something for your laser art.
It was basically just multiple layers you glued on the back of it.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 layers. So you would layer them up, and then it would be easy to put those, just glue them on the back of something. I'm just trying to scan through my channel. I can't remember which video that was, but yeah, you basically have the shape, and then you have a larger shape to be kind of the standoff that you glue together and glue it back on.
Make your own art hangers with a laser.
If you've got the link there, share it in the comments.
I don't know that it'll let me in the comments.
It should, because if it don't,
it says I need to join. Hang on.
If it don't, you can send it to me in private chat and I can share it.
Let me see if it'll let me in here. Oh yeah, it let me in. All right, I just had to sign into YouTube.
Okay. Well, that's in private chat showed up. I'm gonna copy it and I'll share it for everybody. Copy link and put it in comments. So this is Steve's video, right?
Yeah.
All right. So there. So Moses, I just shared a link to Steve's video in there to see how he does those. And I have done an alligator style like that. Let's see. Next. Here's a good question. And I'll be interested in y'all's take. Are the new dual diode and IR modules any use or just hype?
My take on it, especially like both Clack and I looked at the Atom Stack Craft, and that's got the 20 watt blue diode and a 1.2 watt IR. To me, the reason you'd get that is you only occasionally want to do something on metal, and you're primarily going to be working with the other one. It's not, I mean, they've got a decent price point on that one. I think it's still competitive, even if you just want a 20 watt enclosed laser with everything. But if you're doing anything bigger, I mean, it's on the gantry, so you can do large things, but a 1.2 watt IR has such a fine spot that it's going to take forever. Even doing a business card on some of these takes a while. So
would it be great for jewelry?
Yeah, small things, but even that, I still prefer the Galvo styles because positioning, you get that kind of outline framing rather than just the rubber band or the square.
Right.
So for doing fine jewelry, things like that, being able to see the outline of the actual laser path is really handy on what are probably some. I mean, you can do it on cheap jewelry, but if you're getting into that, you're going to be doing it on expensive jewelry, right?
Yeah, I did a
You want to
$900.
dial in that. You want to dial in that location. So
yeah, I did a $900 locket, and I made sure to do it on a Galvo.
So yeah, it's low power though. I mean, most of those dual diode or dual diode and IR modules are, you got a 1.2 to a 2 watt IR, and mixed with the speed of the gantry, it's slow. And if you're gonna do a lot of it, that's where you really got to dive into a dedicated Galvo style. Even if it's a 2 watt Galvo, it's going to be a lot faster than these gantry ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's uses for it, but like Steve said, if it's like the anodized stuff, you can do a pretty good pace at doing anodized like car tags and stuff like that. Those work pretty well, but you start trying to do like actual marking on metals, it's painfully slow.
Larry's wanting to know when you said sell locally, can you give some examples?
I do jobs for some of my biggest customers are party planners, real estate agents, and home sales folks. But I do baseball teams. I do ball bag tags. I do engraved little baseballs. I do like home plate trophy baseball projects on the CNC. I do sports is the sports teams is a big thing. Tumblers, I do tumblers for both individuals as well as businesses. I just did the other day, I think that last video I did 40 tumblers, the big 40-ounce tumblers with the handle. The biggest tumbler order we've had come in was 250, and my buddy Klein, I passed that one on to him so he could do those. But I've done thousands of tumblers over the past several years because that's what a lot of people want. They want them, especially around Christmas. A lot of my businesses will be like, I got this one guy, he does plumbing, air conditioning, and electrical, I think. And I know he does electrical and plumbing, but I think he does air conditioning as well. But he gives away big tumblers to all of his really good customers at the end of the year. And so he'll call me and be like, hey, can you order me this number tumblers and put my logo on them? Well, I've already got all the artwork and everything. So I just order the tumblers, drop them in a machine and turn them out. And he'll usually do like 3 cases, maybe like 60, 70 tumblers at a time. And I've got, I do a lot of stuff with like charities. I'll donate stuff to charities just for the advertisement. I'm in the Chamber of Commerce. I'm in several merchants organizations. I do a lot of the stuff that your regular businesses, like your boutiques and your hair salons and stuff like that. I do a lot of the same stuff that they do as far as advertising around town, which is a little unusual because I'm out here in my backyard, but it helps. I mean, you can go on Facebook here where I live and mention getting something cut with a CNC or laser engraved, and you're going to get referred to me.
Right.
This county, I've got this county and the surrounding counties are starting to get that way to where me and my buddy Tim up at the trophy shop, that's the go-to because he's the only public business that everybody knows about that has a laser, but he stays so busy doing trophies and awards that he don't want to do the custom stuff. And so he refers people to me. So I wind up getting a lot of jobs off of him as well, because, they'll come in wanting a baseball bat engraved. And he's like, my machine, I can't do a baseball bat. You need to go talk to Clack. And so they'll, holler at me and I'll fire up my big machine over here, throw the baseball bat in it, engrave it, $30, because something like that, it's not going to be just the setup fee is going to be pretty intense.
Do you use a friction roller to do those?
No, I use my Adam Stack chuck with a little wire at the end of it. I've got an Adam Stack chuck that I can, and between it and all the little rollers that I've got around here from the different chucks that I've tried out, I can do really large objects. And if it's too large to fit in my enclosure, I've still got 3 of the open gantry machines hanging on the wall right here. So
I put up a new mailbox this past week, and I had to grab one of my open gantries and carry it outside. I engraved the mailbox stand, and couldn't do that with my Rolly. I had to take an open gantry out to do it.
Yeah, well, that machine right there, it's got a drop bed in it with 14 inches of. I got 14 inches of Z-axis in that machine right there. It's an 850 by 400 Adam Stack. So,
Steve, you like me, you don't do a whole lot of local sales, do you?
So I'm in an area that's like flooded with a lot of crafters and so I mean Clack will share ideas, and I'll send them a couple of local Facebook marketplace postings where people are putting out these plaques like $5 a piece. I'm like, no.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm not going to work for free. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's the thing you'll find is the market is very different. And so I do some customization stuff for like one-off things for people, but I try to focus on making more of those connections, like Clack was saying, with some small businesses. We've got a lot of like small coffee shops in the areas. I work with a couple of oddly enough farmers that are going to farmers markets. They wanted, that's how I kind of got into a little bit of the apparel stuff with DTF transfers and such, because they were talking with me about cutting boards and some tumblers and things like that and pens. But then they're like, hey, I'm struggling. They'd see like my hat or something. They say, I'm struggling trying to find someone who will do these hats for me. I'm like, well, what are you looking for? And then they get happy and they talk to their people in their their various markets of circles and such. So it's not always as easy to snag those, but once you get a couple of those businesses on hand, they talk. Like Clack was saying, he's a member of their merchant association and such. We have something similar here, but it's a little more, it focuses more on some of the bigger businesses in town and such. So it's good to look into those, but then finding your group of people that'll help network for you.
And one thing I learned a long time ago is you don't want to grow so fast that you can't, because if you can take care of a few people, great, no problem. But you start getting 20 people hollering at you, and then those 3 or 4 people you've been taking care of, they start to suffer. People start getting left behind. The next thing you know, nobody's calling you no more.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me the other day, what do you do when it starts getting too busy that you can't get caught up? I told them, you just raise your prices by 10%.
Yeah. Well, one thing I don't.
I mean, it works.
I don't do a whole lot locally. I spend most of my time trying to help and teach people how to solve problems in Lightburn. But one thing that I do, and I challenge both of you guys to do the same thing, and anybody in the stream right now that's in the U.S. that wants this, I'll be glad to share it with you. I go to all of my local funeral homes, and I tell them for any fallen vet, any vet that's they're doing a burial on, the vets, they get the honor guard, and they come out and they do the flag on the coffin, and the family's presented with the flag after the fact. Some of the funeral homes will actually provide with the service a flag case, and some of them they don't. People have to go buy a flag case. But I make these nameplates with the information, and it's got this one in particular I made today. It's the Army, his birth and death date, and I'll take that down and give to the funeral home, and that goes on the lower portion of the flag case, and so instead of just having a blank flag sitting up there. And those are really, really cool. And if anybody wants that, I'll send you the template. Plus, I've got every single one of the branches, including the Space Force. I don't know if we've got any vets from the Space Force yet that have passed away, but I've got all the branches. I give you all the artwork and the template to make these. But don't go out and sell them. Take them and give them to the. Yeah. I make that on my scrap material, and I give them to all of the funeral homes. The local funeral homes here, they were using a local trophy shop to engrave a small brass plate, and they were paying $10, $15 for a little brass plate. that looks so much better than a piece of brass, and
Mhm.
it's made out of my scrap. So donate your time, and it's a great way to play with your laser when you ain't got nothing else to do. It takes just a few minutes. Throw a coat of lacquer on there, take it to them, give it to them. You do a good thing for the community. If
Yeah.
you want that template and the artwork, email me, hobowithwood@gmail.com, and say, I want the flag template, and I'll give you all of it.
Yeah, that's a great way. I mean, that's really nice way to do it. And I know Clack has done this, and I've worked with some of our local like humane societies as well. They're usually hurting for, they need donations constantly and such. And so anytime, like if they have an event and it works for me, I've in the past offered to come and say, hey, I will set up and I will for, I don't, a suggested donation, I will engrave the little pet tags for people as long as they make a donation to the Humane Society or such.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then people see it and you bring a few other things that, you've done. And that's a good way to meet people.
Mhm.
While to me, I have no expectations of, making money or anything. It's about networking and helping a cause that I care about. And so you kind of have that feel good thing, but you're also doing some networking for it. And those pet tags, those anodized pet tags cost pennies.
Yeah.
So it's, and you write off the cost as a donation and that's some really good advertising.
Yeah. The last, Humane Society event we had here, I was one of their big page sponsors or whatever, their premium sponsors. But I was going to tell you guys, I found, somebody was asking a while ago where we're located. I'm in Alabama, right in the center, as if my redneck unease wasn't a big enough giveaway. But here's that cooler. This is that sketchy cooler that I did the other day. So I had to take my machine and rotate the head on that fiber machine to do it. Now I've edited the text because I didn't want. At the time that I did it, he hadn't gave it to the guy he was trying to give it to.
Right.
But yeah, that was my sketchy little setup that I had to do. Oh, and there's Steve. There's Steve on the stand right there.
I love your risers.
Yeah. And then this is people's asking about the different jobs. This is actually employee like manager of the month awards for the Pizza Hut or the regional Pizza Huts in our area.
Oh, that's cool.
One of the guys that he's like on up in the company, he hooked up with me. I did a couple of jobs for him. And so now every year I make these little pine cutout pizzas and end up engraving, names and logos and stuff like that in the center. And they hand those out as like awards. This past year, I actually managed to get the Small Business of the Year award here.
Did you make your own trophy?
No, but my buddy Tim actually did that one. Now I did make the jig for it. I just didn't know that I was making the jig for my own trophy at the time because he has a new girl that was working there that didn't know how to. They wound up buying a new machine because their old Epilogue went out on them, and they bought a Thunderbolt. And they had been using a different software and they weren't familiar with Lightburn. So I've been training them on Lightburn. Well, then the other day I was in there and I was like, what's wrong with this old Epilogue? Because it was still sitting there. It's been 2 years. And they're like, we don't know. And so I got to messing with it and changed out the lenses and did some adjustments to it. And now I've got their Epilogue back going. So now he has an Epilogue, an older Epilogue, like a 1980s model Epilogue and the Thunderbolt in his shop. But there's still stuff that he either doesn't have the time to do or just, can't engineer the setup to do, that he sends me those jobs. But I'm kind of his like on-call tech guy, but he sends me jobs. Like I got, if I can get to him, let me see if I can find him.
And while he's looking, Jack asked if you preferred Sasquatch or Yeti, Steve.
Well, I mean, it's all just about normal height people.
I ain't got them in here. I forgot I put them outside because I've got those in the kiln, but I've got like a 3,000 ink pen that I've got to engrave. All right, that's Steve right there.
Yeah, and the general consensus is what was the Yeti is cooler. Yeah. So,
Okay.
and Terry said, where you said, where you at? He's in Bama. I'm in North Carolina, and you're in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm South Central Minnesota.
Yeah.
Southern Canada.
Southern Canada. Let's see here. Jack, I only do custom personalization, CNC or laser. Just did a 4 foot by 8 foot sign for Creek Indian Nation, all laser cut. Yeah. And that's where your money's at. And you doing production work. It's a lot of time and a lot of effort. And then you hope you're going to sell it. But when you're doing a custom piece or what's that fancy word they say? It's not bespoke. You do a bespoke design. It's not custom. It's bespoke. That adds more value to it just by saying it's bespoke. You can spend a fraction of the time doing a custom piece and make 5 times the money. Yeah. So congrats on that, Jack.
Yeah, but custom work comes and goes. Usually, if you got if you get a good product and it's in a right niche, it can kind of be a good constant, kind of like this is what pays the bills, keeps the lights on, and then the custom work is really kind of brings in those bonus money. So
yeah, I've got my stove covers. Those are kind of one of my staples, that and my party planner.
Miss Stacy's asking, do you prefer pre-painted wood or doing so afterward? Have seen a lot that pre-painted craft woods, but haven't pulled the trigger.
Oh, hey, you want to take this one? Because I know where we both stand on that.
Well, okay. So I'm going to do a little clarification though. Are we talking pre-finished or pre-painted?
She said pre-painted.
Yeah. So with pre-painted, you run the risk of, depending on the paint, are you going to have a lot of cleanup afterwards, or are you going to have to mask it, and then is the mask going to pull off the paint and such? So it kind of depends on the piece,
the quality,
and also the intricacy of the parts that you're cutting out. Usually, the smaller the parts, the harder they might be to paint afterwards, but also the higher risk that you're going to have some staining on it. So it's a balance. If you can glue the parts together afterwards, no big deal. Just put a little paint on after it's lasered, then glue it in place. But if they're put together and then you're having to add the paint, then it's nice to have them done beforehand. So I don't know. Now, if we're talking pre-finished, I love some pre-finished material when possible, because it makes things, usually it's just a quick cleanup with some alcohol, and not only is it clean, but you're not adding finish later and waiting for it to dry. You're basically gluing it together, finished product. So
yeah, we've both got kind of spoiled here lately. I've been using pre-finished. The stuff I got right now, I'm out. I got to go get some more. But this 4.5 millimeter stuff that I'm using now, this is birch that I get here locally, and I've been using pre-finished, and it has about spoiled me. And then I've started using the True Flat for a lot of my jobs too. And that True Flat has spoilt me. And you save money in paint too. I didn't realize that was kind of one of those hidden savings that I wasn't aware of. But because it's pre-finished, instead of having to paint it, let it dry, and then paint it, let it dry to get an even finish.
Yeah,
it's pre-finished. It's one coat, let it dry, and you're done. So I didn't realize how much time and paint that I would save by using pre-finished material, because now instead of having to wait on 2 or 3 coats of paint to dry, I just have to wait on one coat of paint to dry. So it's actually increased the time from cutting the project to having it ready to go out the door. So I've really enjoyed that.
So when you get into production like mass tumblers, etc., are you going with your fiber, UV, or CO2?
I've been using right now because it's just because of the way the machine works and the workflow. I've been using my X-Tool S1 because I've got it set up to where everything's fixed, nothing moves. It does a good job. It's doing great. I want to get a CO2 to do them with, because CO2 is safer with tumblers and it requires less adjustment because it interacts with all color tumblers the same, as opposed to the diode varies from color to color. And with a diode, if you go too hot, you can turn the tumbler black or gray or cause it to dimple, sink in. I mean, so with the CO2, it's a little more forgiving. But I've got the P2, I've got the OhmTech, but I don't like the tumbler, the rotary setups for any of those machines. I'm really, really considering getting myself a Thunderbolt for the tumblers and stuff, because using the one that Tim and them's got at the shop up there, that thing is fast. That RF tube is precise, it's crisp. I like it. But then I think about it and I'm like, if I'm just going to do tumblers with it, I need a CO2 galvo. So I'm kind of got the feelers out right now looking at some CO2 galvos. There's ComMarker makes one, and there's another company that has one that I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between. But CO2, if you have a good setup, CO2 would be the way to go. Steve's got the Monport Reno? I think that would actually be a good one. Ain't that the one that you were talking about that has the bed lets up and down and everything?
Well, that one's probably going to be a little too limited in your depth, but the OhmTech Maker that I've got,
that was it.
Working with those, you want something to be deeper so that you've got some variation to work with. I used to have, with my original CO2, I bought is a real heavy duty Chuck style rotary, and it worked well, and I loved working with that. Like for all the things Clack said, the CO2 is just more forgiving. You're setting the power for the coating, not the color. And then so you can, once you've got the power set per brand, you don't really have to adjust your settings much. But when I got rid of that laser, I also got rid of the Chuck. And so whether it's this OhmTech Maker or something else, that would be more of my go-to is the CO2. But I like having that deep bed to be able to make the adjustments and not have to muck around with, raising the laser up or getting a weird, Chuck that has deep enough swing, things like that. So,
yeah.
And Joseph's one of many says they'd love to have that for the vets design. Who else was and Chuck's asking, is it on your site? No, it's not on my site, but you know what? I think that would be simpler. What I'll do tonight after I end this stream is I will create a quick file that has the template on it, plus the artwork for I think it's 6 branches now. I'll include all the branches of the military I've got and the template for that and put it on the website and put it on there for free and allow you just to go over and download it. That way people ain't got to be sending me email, and I ain't got to answer dozens and dozens of emails. I'm lazy. I'm very lazy. And Jack, I have not hit them all yet. I have not got over to McLean. So if you want to go over there to McLean, that's on New Hope. He's one of the closest ones to you. I have not hit them up yet. And I'll have that on the website tonight before I go to bed.
Let me see if y'all can see this.
Let's see. Oh, hey, I've got the exact opposite. I've got a black dog laying right under my feet.
Yeah, but look over in the corner beside the dog.
I see the kitty cat now.
Yeah. Can't have nothing. Oh, and you see that Vintage Workshop sticker that's stuck in my enclosure right here.
I got you.
Yeah, there's a.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
Every time he comes over here, he sticks stuff in there. This is my lightsaber enclosure. That's the 70-watt Atom stack. It's a beast.
I gotta get that advertising out there.
Yep. Is that scrap birch, ply, or solid? No, all my scrap solid. I do these out of solid. And I will use this here. This was actually curly maple, and it turned out really beautiful. And the other one that turned out really awesome was the Osage orange. But I don't use plywood for these. I do them out of solid hardwoods. But they'll be random. Some I do in ash. Some of them are in maple. Some of them, whatever I've got available, because it's all out of scrap.
Yeah, something like that I would do I would rather do it in hard.
Yeah, not plywood.
Yeah.
That's going to hold up and last. It ain't going to be subject to curling or doing something stupid to apply over time. Looking for questions and question marks. Just a little tip for people doing key change or pet tags. Add a NCF tag. They can be scanned by a phone with a link or website, good Google map location, contact details. Okay. Questions and comments.
Somebody was asking about a website.
That one. That's chances didn't use the MK2XW had an enclosed riser. Oh, didn't it have an enclosed riser bed? I thought Patrick had one, but couldn't find it on the website. Okay, Brad's, what's your website? Website's hobowithwood@gmail.com. Hobowithwood@gmail.com. And they had a drop bed for the MK2. I don't know about a riser bed.
Patrick printed some feet one time.
Oh, no, yeah, he did individual risers. wasn't a bed though.
Yeah, it was just feet.
Yeah. Do you have a merchant marine with the other branches? No, I haven't. I've got Coast Guard. I don't have merchant marine. Haven't seen merchant marine. I be something I had to look into. That's not something I've ever had a request for. Either one of y'all got merchant marine?
No, I don't.
And it's 3mm. This is 3mm hardwoods that I get from West Penn Hardwoods. I get their project packs, and it'll be random lengths and shapes and widths. Some of them can be 10 or 12 inches wide and 3mm thick. Some of them are only 4 inches wide and 2 feet long, like the pieces you get out at Rockler. But they're random shapes and lengths from West Penn Hardwoods, and you get them real cheap. Let's see. All right. Anybody else? If I missed a question, and I want to just or put that up here. See, comment banners, hobowithwood.com. There we go. There's the website. I do. And I will put that up just as soon as I end the stream. It'll take me a minute to put it together with all the artwork I've got, but I'll put that up tonight, and I'll put it up there and leave it up there. So if you don't get it tonight, it'll be there in the morning, and I'll leave it for free. But I will know if you download this and start charging people for it. I'll know. So don't do that. Give it away, because I'll come to your house if you do. All right. Any other questions or comments for me or the Brain Trust here? And if anybody missed it, the big secret was flood fill for doing the perimeter on the frame. And just because we might have some that chimed in late, I'm going to just open that and show it one more time where you find it, because it's, unless you know where it's at, you wouldn't know to go to look there. So recent projects, Iwo Jima. I'm going to add this to my page, and then I'll switch over and show you guys. Control D, copy, send over. So you will come to my place if I charge. Chris, you won't be doing any U.S. military badges, I don't think. But if you do some and you charge for them, yes, I will come to Australia.
I thought that was like wasn't that the $5,000 a month tier?
Yeah. That's the platinum.
This sounds a little cheaper.
Yeah. All right, so switch here, and I'm going to make it full screen real quick. Just a quick recap, because that was what I really felt I wanted to share with the people in the Rolly Automation Facebook group. The question or the problem that one of the posters had this week was, when doing this type of framing around a design, and you look at the preview, when you're doing, well, I didn't say okay. I need to turn off flood fill so you can see it with not flood fill. Turn it off and say okay, dummy. And then preview it. There you go. You got tons of white space, and all that extra movement is wasted time and wasted energy, and it's showing you a 40-minute engraving to do that, because you're scanning just on your x-axis, and it's scanning all the way across, back and forth. Well, to go from 40 minutes to half the time, if you go back into your layer and go over here to the advanced tab and turn on flood fill and say, okay, it cuts out all that white space and you go from that 40 minutes to 20 minutes and 30 seconds. You just saved a ton of time. And for me, I got an excellent result. I didn't even bother doing the line after fill because it turned out excellent for what I wanted, because I did not want that to be I wanted it to be muted. In fact, I did a kind of a little bit lower power on it than I did on some of the rest of it. But if I would have went to the trouble of doing the line after fill and the heavy, I didn't want that. I didn't want the rope to be prominent. Just a little bit of a muted highlight, and that from 40 minutes to 20 minutes by simply doing flood fill. So that's the takeaway, other than getting to see all these pretty faces. The takeaway tonight is flood fill can be your friend. Let's see here. Any last minute questions, comments? Hey, Hobo, put the like for hardwood. Put the like for hardwood up, please.
Maybe a link.
Put the site up for hardwood. Try it again. Put the link up for hardwood, please. Okay. I can use Australian military. Yeah, but if you what I said was, if you used my artwork and charged for it, I'd come to your house. You can use Australian artwork and sell it. I didn't say that I'd come to your house for that. So let me put up here that link for West Penn. And I learned this on my last visit up there. West Penn Hardwoods. They're fortunately for me, they're close enough. I can drive up there and go pick off what I want off the shelves. It's awesome. It's like and Ed went with me, and Dwayne went with me the last time. And they can attest if they're still here. It's like a toy store for woodworkers. It's an amazing place. You see all that stuff behind Steve in his shop? Take that times 10,000. So WPHardwoods.com is their website. But what you might want to do, and you can find project packs on their website, but they don't update that website with all the stuff they have sitting on the shelf regular on the project packs. So you might be better off to go to that website, get their phone number, and call them and say, hey, do you have any project? And you ask for very specific species. Do you have any project packs in the Osage orange? Do you have it in the curly maple? Do you have it in ash? What do you and they can grab it and send it to you. They'll ship it to you. And it's really reasonable. Last call for questions and comments. Now we know how to get Hobo to come for a personal visit. Well, another way, if you're not aware of it, Joseph, I haven't pushed the Patreon. Go over to patreon.com/hobowithwood to sponsor this redneck and keep the Hobo channel going. I offer gold, silver, and bronze. Gold is $20 a month. Silver is $9, 12, 9, and 3, I think it is. But then there's a platinum. If you go with the platinum tier, I will be at your beck and call for any problems you have, and I will come to your house once a month, cook your dinner, and answer any questions you've got and design problems you've got, and talk to you as long as you want to stay till the crows come up. We'll stay, or the roost. We'll stay up all night long talking about it. But the platinum tier is $5,000 a month.
You say that until somebody takes you up on it.
I'll do it, brother. I will do it. I'll do it all day.
Hey.
Remember, I don't have a job. This is my life.
You'd be surprised what some folks will offer you out there.
Hobo turned me on to West Penn Hardwoods. I like going up there, but my wallet is never big enough. Yeah, it is an impressive place. I just placed a large order of cherry to be delivered. Really easy and inexpensive. Yeah. Hey, Dwayne, hope you're doing well, and I hope you got all those problems straightened out at work. I'd love to know how that shook out for you. Whiskey and a ride and a go fast. Yeah, boy. Hey, can we claim you on our taxes then? New guy here. Can I open 2 instances of? Yes, absolutely you can. And I'll show you here. This is really tough. It's almost as hard as using flood fill. So pay close attention. All you got to do, and let's see, switch that over and make it full screen. If you've got Lightburn open and you're working on this right here, and you need to open up another instance of Lightburn, start something different for whatever reason, you come up here to File and click New Window, not New Window. And that, even I struggle with that. If you click New, you're going to get rid of your stuff down here, or they'll prompt you. Do you want to get rid of this? No, you don't want to do that. So cancel that. And you click on New Window, and it will propagate a new instance of Lightburn. But here's what you have to watch out for. It's going to ask you, do you want to open up the last thing you had open, which was currently still open in there? But if you have only one laser and it's connected to the machine, and you open up a second instance of Lightburn, then it's going to want to try and connect 2, and then you have 2 different instances competing for it. Sometimes it can cause a little communication issue. I recommend setting up in your Lightburn a no machine. And when you set up no machine, you can set it to whatever work area size you want in your settings. But now it's not connected to anything. It's not wanting to connect anything. It's not going to cause any communication issues. And you can open up as many of those as you want, new window, and it'll propagate a new version, and you can, just keep on going. Then you got down here, which one do I want to open? But yeah, what do y'all? How often do y'all use multiple windows?
Oh, quite often.
Yeah, like daily.
Let's see, exit and switch.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind now. I've got 3 machines on my main line right here.
Yeah,
and then I got the Galvos too. So there's days that I'll have this machine. Some days it runs like all day. So I'll have this one running, and then I may have something running on the P2 down there, or the A70, or you never know. I've got several videos where I had 5 instances of Lightburn going, 5 machines running at one time.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes, like the other night, I was working on some stuff for Ryan Ballard on the Omni, but I had the CO2 cutting out the tags, and then I was over here playing around on the Omni, getting my settings dialed in, running it. So I had, XCS and Lightburn. You never know around here. And then usually I've got a CNC spinning over there too if I'm not doing a video.
And this is a great live stream. I've learned a lot from all 3 of you over the last 2 years. Thank you all, and night all. And I think unless you guys want to add anything else, I think it's probably a good time to wrap it.
No,
That's fun hopping on here.
Yeah, glad I got to make it. Like I said, I was wrapping up on that video over there. So if you're into CNCs and you want to see what that little guy over there can do, you can go check that out. I did the video, dropped it right before the live, so it's out there.
Question mark for Clyde. I don't know what the question is. What's your question, Terry?
Maybe he's dropped it up above. I see 4526. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Maybe I missed it.
Nah, and for the regulars, they know. For me, I always tell them put 3 questions, or like Dave here. Dave's got the exclamation points. I know he's one. He says good, great stream. I'm going to bed. It's 4 a.m. God bless you. There we go.
All lasers through a USB. Typically with Lightburn, I'm just going to throw this out there. I've only found. Keep in mind, I've tested over 60 something lasers in this shop. I've only found 2 that actually worked dependably through Wi-Fi, and both of them were O'Tours. So I don't run. I run everything through USB, unless you've got a Laser Master 3, which was the best running one on Wi-Fi that I've ever found. It was the only one that I never had any issues out of. The Laser Master 3. The rest of these machines work basically like an ad hoc network, which means that you're just connected to just that machine. It's not a part of your network. I just use USB. It's just so much more dependable. Now with the X tools and the We Creates and Laser Peckers and stuff like that, You can run those over Wi-Fi. They work pretty good with their native software, but not with Lightburn.
And Terry just asked another question, which I was getting ready to ask you, which I already know the answer. Powered USB?
Yes. Yeah. If you go to me and Steve both, I think we might not use the exact same powered USB hub, but we use very similar. And you want to make sure whatever you're using, you do want to make sure to provide power to it because, especially if you're using a laptop. Desktops are better because they have the capability of having a little more extra power. But laptops, typically the power supply is bare bones. So if you start plugging USB hubs into it, you're going to start having some voltage issues. But with a powered USB hub, it kind of prevents that because you're powering those ports off of this little power box here instead of your computer. So keep from having any issues.
Night, Bob. Thanks for coming.
Steve can add to that since he is an IT nerd, by the way.
Well, before you answer that or finish on top of that, I want you to follow up, if you will, for the next question from Lyle is how do you set up Wi-Fi? Go ahead with the powered USBs and then how do you set it up with Wi-Fi?
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, yeah, the powered USBs, definitely, but there's also limits to that. I think both Clack and I have actually added a PCI USB 3.0 card to our workshop machines. They always run a little more efficiently, effectively without issues, especially when you start adding cameras like the cameras for each laser. Those don't like to share a USB port, even on a powered USB hub. So sometimes you got to expand those. Yeah, as far as setting up the Wi-Fi, I mean, like, how do we set up Wi-Fi on the lasers? Or
laser, yeah, that's what he's asking about.
Yeah,
that's going to be laser specific. A lot of them, like Clack was saying, it's more of an ad hoc thing where it acts like its own access point, and then you connect to it that way. But some of the others that will actually join your local network, then it becomes addressable. But Lightburn themselves, they have said they don't like to support that feature because it's a dangerous, it's too risky to have people able to remotely, start and stop their lasers.
Yeah.
So they don't even necessarily encourage or work hard to support those features. But some of the lasers have it in them where their USB ports sometimes even will mimic a USB port. So the other ones, like Clack was saying, the We Creates and the X Tools, things like that, they're doing that through their own software. And so you'll go into the device settings for that in there, connect it to your network, and then the software knows to look on that. The caveat to that, though, is a lot of them, it works best when you can reserve that IP through your router, and now you got to get into a little techiness of logging into your internet device, your either your cable modem if your provider has it, or whatever you bought for your home network, and be able to go in and find that device and either by MAC address or IP and tell it to always hold that IP. Xtool's better about still being able to scan your network for them, but like We Create, if you don't have that reserved and it grabs a new IP the next time it boots up, you have to reconnect the USB and then tell it to rejoin. So it gets a little techie on some of that stuff, and if it's not slick, it's more hassle than it's worth. I strongly don't recommend you ever do firmware updates over Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I will say the MK2 from Algo Laser, the way theirs is set up, where it's got the touch screen on the front of it, and you can literally just hit the Wi-Fi button and then click the network. But that's probably the slickest setup I've seen. But very few machines are going to have that.
Yeah, in 2 years, I've never used Wi-Fi.
Yeah, most of it's just when I'm testing their specific software. Through Lightburn, I always hard connect through USB, or a couple of my larger lasers have had an Ethernet connection, and that tends to work okay. But I was surprised. I pulled down the SculptFun SF-A9 and plugged it in. I was watching the console as I booted up on USB, and it reconnected to my wireless network as well. So I had to go back and think I had done that through their app to configure the wireless on there, but I never used that through Lightburn that way. So
yeah, with Lightburn, you've got to go in and there's some commands that you have to put in there. You have to physically type the network, like broadcast ID in there. and then you have to hit save by using commands, and then you have to type the password in. It's kind of clunky to do. And like I said, there's only a couple of machines that I know of that will work as the way that people would expect it to work. Other than that, it's like you can send a file to it over Wi-Fi and then deploy it using an offline controller. That, to me, that's not Wi-Fi control. That's just saving data over the Wi-Fi. So I just stick with USB.
And another
another
tip with that when using USB, get yourself a quality cable. Some of the cables that come with the lasers are not always the best. And if you're running anything longer than 6 or 8 feet or whatever that stock cable was, even if you're not running multiple lasers, it can help to add a powered USB hub to provide the power to get that signal. If you're running if you have like a 12, 15, 20 foot cable, because you maybe have that much distance between your machine and wherever your computer is, it doesn't hurt to spend that $15-20 to get a decent powered USB hub. It just amplifies the power rather than sharing all the power off of your computer's main bus.
So Stacy's asking if anybody, if either of us have tried the 2.0 public version yet. Lightburn 2.0.
I haven't had time.
I have not. I haven't bothered. It's not available as an update, but there is a public beta 2.0 out there that I have not messed with, simply because once it's available and I got to do it, I'll upload it. But until it's downloadable as an update, because the things that I've read about and seen, because Lightburn's adding so many features, they're beginning to have to stack and nest tools within menus. And I hate having to go look for what I was wanting. I don't like, even right now, when I want to set up my move tabs, I got to open up that and then go in and click on grids and movements and then go down to another menu. Used to, you can just click that. But hey, I'm complaining because it's getting to be so advanced.
Yeah,
it's a double
sword. I don't beta test Lightburn, no offense. But I got a business to run, so I don't need once it's been out and it's solid and they open it up for general consumption, I'll go ahead and move over to it. But I usually need to come in here and have laser problems.
Yeah. No, I usually wait even a couple of weeks after they've released it before I even update.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't run a business, but I don't like headaches. I'm lazy.
Yeah. No, last thing I want to do is to have a rush job and come in here and fire up the computer and it not communicate with one of my machines or something and cause me problems. No, I'm good. I'll wait until it's ready.
Well, and that's the nice thing about putting it on a laptop that's not maybe your primary driver. You can play around with it there, but all your settings and all your production stuff stays on the other machine until you're comfortable and ready to move. So
yeah, I always make sure I've got like all my stuff backed up, all my library saved and all that before I update anyway. Because I have had some deals where I had to re-import stuff and I just didn't like that. So I've usually got a pretty recent backup of my preferences. So, but yeah, it's a good software, and I've like I said, I've made lots of money doing jobs and doing work with it. It's well justified expense in my book.
Yeah. What expense?
Yeah. Well,
it's cheap. I wished all those design software was this cheap.
Well, when you get into CNC, and you'll appreciate it.
Oh God, yeah, I already know. That's why my CNC is covered in 3 inches of dust.
Well, you said you have an X card, right?
I'm 90% sure that's what. It's been so long since I looked
at their own software, or do they use easel?
I've tried easel. I've tried about a half a dozen of them playing when I was still trying to figure it all out. But the things that I want to do, they weren't capable. I want to do stuff that Fusion or a lot of those others that where you can get into 3D carbons and all kinds of great.
You'll probably want to stick with Vectric for a while. You can do 3D with Vectric. You're just limited on how many things you can bring in. But if you get into like Fusion 360, where you build an STL, you can export it into the machine, or you just do one 3D image at a time. But yeah. But I love it. I love it. Steve stayed on me for months. when you're going to get a CNC, when you're going to get a CNC, when you're going to get a CNC. And finally, Jinmitsu SainSmart reached out to me and sent me that 4040, the very first one I got. And man, you talking about a learning curve?
Yeah, well, yeah.
But now I love it. It's awesome. I enjoy the heck out of it. Like I said, these little signs, I've been making these little things right here. I was like kid in a candy store. I'm like, man, I'm making all kinds of cool stuff today.
3 Rusty Nails says, I downloaded 2.0 and the camera screen covers the program. I cannot reduce it, so I deleted it. Yeah, I've seen some other people comment about some of the same problems. I always reload the preferences every time I do a Lightburn update. Vetric Aspire.
Yeah, that's a good software.
Yeah, that's if you really want to get into 3D stuff, is the Aspire.
And I don't know if y'all know it or not, but Jack's my neighbor.
Just to get Jack to show you.
Yeah, Jack's right up the road. Ed Cameron, he's been in the stream night. He's just down the street. And I hadn't seen Bill in here, or I've got quite a few local followers that are right here within a stone's throw. But yeah, I have not been. I've been out to eat with Jack, and we need to do that again. And I tried to get him to go with me and Ed and Dwayne up to West Penn, but he's still got a day job, and so he couldn't get away to come join us.
Did they try to make you eat chicken livers?
Huh?
Did they try to make you eat chicken livers?
I've seen that. I remember. No chicken livers here. I don't know if he does. Chicken livers are a very popular thing here too. I'm pretty sure the shrimp boat has got chicken livers. It's one of our.
He's in the Carolinas up there. They got chicken liver up there.
Yeah, we got chicken livers. I'm pretty sure one of our local mainstays. They got chicken livers, and they got a Dolly Parton plate. Now the Dolly Parton plate is one of their most popular plates. You go in and order a Dolly, and you know what Dolly is? Any guess?
No idea.
2 large breasts. The double breastplate.
I mean, I can see that.
All right, guys. Let's wrap it up. We're 2 hours in, and you guys will be live tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Yes.
They got to do all this again.
It'll be fun though. But if you haven't ever checked out our live show, though, you can come check it out. I know I see a lot of you guys are, and John. Matter of fact, John's got he got the Cubico from me the other day. I guess it's the same John, but he says he's got Aspire. So obviously, John's not going to need any lessons on how to use it if he knows how to work Aspire. But yeah, it's usually a pretty fun 2 hours. Like I said, we do a lot of just Q&A. We don't do as much demo unless somebody asks for something particular.
And Jack's got an answer that Steve you'll probably relate to.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of what they're used for up here.
Yeah, that's
catfishing or cat food.
Yeah. Livers and
there you go, Chuck. Hey, them gizzards, man. Them gizzards make your jaw start hurting after about a pound of them, though.
And Terry's asking what time y'all go live tomorrow.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Central.
So 8 Eastern time, 7 Central. Jack says, I have 3 of the CarveRite CNC machines, and their software is very similar to using Lightburn. It will do several different formats. I've not heard of CarveRite.
I'm familiar with them. I haven't looked at what software they're running.
I don't know if they would. I've seen a bunch of different machines, like older CNCs that I didn't know about, but now a lot of them aren't like they're using different software. They're not necessarily G-code machines.
Gizzards and dumplings with biscuits.
That's right. Speaking of Biscuit, old Biscuit over there, just like he is passed out.
I hear you.
And then, of course, I got this. She done woke up and come over here and sat behind me.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming and joining, hanging out for a little while. I didn't expect either one of you to be here for the whole time, but I'm glad you came and we had fun. I did. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope we said some people learned some stuff. Thank you for coming, joining in. 7 p.m. Central Time. Yep, 7. That's clack. 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So, thank you both of y'all for coming and hanging out for a little bit, and thank y'all for coming and joining and hanging out. I'm gonna go and create that quick package of the template for this and all. In fact, let me blow it up a real full screen here. I'll create I'll share the template for this, and this is set up and designed. So if you've got one of the full size flag cases you get from like Hobby Lobby or anywhere they put an actual U.S. flag from the funeral, this is set up so that it'll sit in the bottom on the glass, and it's got about 4 inches of glass on either side. And this is at a 45, and it matches the taper, the same angle on the side of the glass. So it really is a good fit and looks good. So I'll share this template and all the artwork for all of the branches that I've got. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's 6 branches. I'll put it up tonight before I go to bed and put it on hobowithwood.com, which is going across the bottom, well, way down there. And it'll be for free for you guys to download. But I'm doing that so that you guys can do this and take them to your local funeral homes and do them for free. Don't be selling that. Do it as a service. So again, thanks guys.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the invite.
Yep. Y'all have a good evening. Everybody else have a wonderful Memorial weekend, and I'll see my patrons next week. We'll do something live, and if you want to be joining in on those 5-hour design streams, go over to patreon.com/hobowithwood, sign up, and you can join in. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Y'all say good night? Good night. Later. End stream.